the Russian Federation, with the support of Algeria, Pakistan, Somalia, and Sierra Leone, for convening this important meeting to discuss the situation of the Palestinian children in the Gaza Strip and to highlight their plight and the urgent need to ensure their protection and care. Today, with the ceasefire, which should become permanent, it may be time for the Security Council to visit the devastated Gaza Strip, to witness firsthand what befell our people and our children owing to what Israel has perpetrated, including war crimes, crimes against humanity throughout 15 months of genocide and 17 years of an unjust blockade. To also witness firsthand the results of the culture of impunity, of double standards and immunity, the lack of accountability enjoyed by Israel as an occupying power, unjustly and without reason. Mr. President, allow me as well to thank the Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Mr. Tom Fletcher, for his comprehensive briefing. We also thank all the UN personnel operating on the ground to provide relief to our people. To Bisan Natil, our daughter from Gaza, I say, we are proud of you. We are proud of the young men and women of Palestine. We couldn't be prouder when our children in Gaza speak of Gaza before the Security Council and the world, especially after this long absence imposed on you by the occupation. You have conveyed with hope and humanity your suffering and the horrors of what happened to you. I would like to thank you for your testimony on behalf of all the children of Palestine. Our hearts were bleeding throughout this heinous genocide. We could hear your pulse coming from Beit Hanun, Beit Lahia, Jabalia, Gaza, Al-Wusta, Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, and Rafah. We know that you and your children have been suffering, have been bearing the unbearable, the injustice, the aggression through no fault of your own. You were facing the Israeli machine, the killing machine, the destruction, the displacement, the ethnic cleansing that seeks to thwart your attempts to survive the bombardment and killing, to avoid being lost under the rubble, to survive detention, disease, fear, starvation, thirst, the summer heat, and the winter cold. We recognize the scale of pain and oppression you have endured, the scope of the catastrophe that befell you. We recognize how difficult it is to heal as a people, but we also recognize your unwavering determination and resolve to go back to life, to resist death, surrounding you from all sides. We will build on this resolve and on this hope, which may be scarce in these difficult times, especially that funeral homes are still open and that search for the martyrs' remains and for the displaced is ongoing. I wish you, our people in Gaza, a safe return to your life, to your homes, or what remains thereof. A safe return to your families, to your loved ones, to your friends, or whomever remains of them. We will be with you. We will be the hand that builds, that heals. We will listen to your ambitions and to your legitimate dreams. We will always convey your voice until this criminal Israeli occupation of our people and of our land ends. Mr. President, in this context, we reaffirm the willingness and readiness of the Palestinian government to shoulder its governmental responsibilities in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, to provide relief and development services to our people in the Strip, which is part and parcel of the territories of the State of Palestine. In line with the government's plan for relief and early recovery and the emergency response for the Gaza Strip, which was submitted by the Prime Minister Dr. Mohammed Mustafa to His Excellency President Mahmoud Abbas, and which includes guaranteeing the safe return of the displaced to their homes, the provision of treatment to the wounded and the sick, the rehabilitation of the disabled, and preparing for a comprehensive reconstruction phase, including the resumption of the services of education, health, and infrastructure, controlling the crossings and the borders, achieving economic recovery and social recovery. And in this, we will depend on the expertise of our sons and daughters from the Palestinian people capable of building a better future. And here there is a need to call upon the Israeli occupation to immediately release thousands of medical, journalistic and academic Palestinian personnel who were abducted by Israel from the Gaza Strip and who are being subjected to the most severe forms of torture in the Israeli torture centers. Gaza cannot recover without the return of its sons who were abducted by Israel from the Gaza Strip, such as Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya and Dr. Ahmed Mahanna and other medical personnel and technical personnel. We look forward to cooperating and coordinating with friendly and sisterly countries in all areas to provide aid and assistance to our people. We reaffirm the role of the United Nations, including the pivotal role of UNRWA, which is irreplaceable, especially at this critical stage. Hence the need to compel the Israeli occupation not to obstruct the work of UNRWA in the occupied Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem. We call upon the international community to enable UNRWA to reopen its schools in the Gaza Strip and to equip it to welcome thousands of children, to resume formal education, and to reach every young boy and girl evenly and safely. We all know that school provide some sort of protection to children from the scourge of wars because schools provide psychological and recreational support to children. We cannot wait any longer. We should immediately resume education at all its levels in the Gaza Strip. Mr. President, Israel has been waging air raids on houses of civilians in Gaza indiscriminately. It has been adopting carpet bombardment using hundreds of tons of bombs. These bombardments killed more than 14,000 children, with more than 20,000 missing under the rubble of their homes, their shelters, or in mass graves. Tens of thousands of children are suffering severe burns and permanent injuries. They have been maimed. Israel left thousands of children orphans. Israel besieged the Gaza Strip and imposed the policy of starvation, using starvation as a weapon of war, preventing the delivery and distribution of relief and medical assistance to the civilian, in violation of all the moral, legal, and political standards, including relevant Security Council resolutions. In the West Bank, Israel entered with its military armored vehicles into our homes, into our schools and neighborhoods. It has killed and arrested our children. And this occupation and the settlers' terrorism is expanding to engulf every city, every neighborhood, in Jenin and its camp, in Tulkarm, in Nablus, in Ramallah, in Kalkilia, in Beit Lahem, in Hebron. They are displacing, bombarding, detaining, burning, looting, and building settlements in a blatant violation of international laws and instruments without any accountability. We call for keeping the IDF on the UN list of abusers of the rights of children in armed conflicts, until this occupation ceases committing crimes against our children. We also call upon countries to prohibit the delivery of weapons to the Israeli occupation army, to compel it to respect international law, and to ensure protection for our children. We cannot accept this fate, and we cannot accept that the fate of our children will be either a grave in the Gaza Strip or a detention center in the West Bank or a displacement in East Jerusalem. It is unacceptable for our children to live today the same harsh life we lived in our childhood owing to the ongoing Israeli occupation throughout the decades without any prospect to end it. This cycle of violence should end immediately. This occupation, which is robbing us of our children, robbing us of our youth and of life, should end immediately. It is time for us, for our children, to live a life free from the Israeli occupation and its aggressions. It is time for a Palestinian generation that doesn't live under occupation. It is time to end the war irreversibly and to end the blockade irreversibly. It is time to release all our Palestinian children that are being held by Israel in the Israeli detention and torture centers, and to guarantee that Israel will not detain them again. It is time for our wounded and sick children to receive treatment and the necessary medical care, especially those who lost their limbs and who are in need of artificial limbs and who need rehabilitation to adapt with this new life that was imposed on them. I call upon you to join us in our efforts to achieve justice, peace, and security in our region. This can only be achieved by ending the unlawful Israeli occupation of our land, pursuant to the advisory opinion of the ICJ, to achieve justice and to hold accountable the perpetrators before international tribunals, to achieve the independence and sovereignty of the State of Palestine and its full membership in the United Nations, so that our people can exercise their right to self-determination, and so that our children can be born and raised in peace and security and can fulfill their dreams, build their future, and live in freedom and dignity. Thank you, President.
I thank the representative of the observer state of Palestine for his statement. The President